October 15th, when Marx first took up his post, Governor von Schaper reported to the Ministry of the Interior and Police that the newspaper had only 875 subscribers, just 1/10 of the subscribers of the Cologne Gazette, and was unpopular in the Rhineland. However, the Rhine Gazette's political impact and sales figures soon astonished the governor. October 20th, the Rhine Gazette exposed a new divorce law bill obtained secretly through the governor's son, Floatwell. This was a bill the government attached great importance to and had been secretly drafting. It was Wilhelm If's first major legislative initiative and the first step by the Minister of Legislation, Savigny. The king disliked the leniency of Prussian divorce laws. From a Christian standpoint, he believed marriage should be indissoluble. He ordered the cabinet to prepare a bill significantly increasing. The Rhine Gazette exposed it and published multiple commentaries from various perspectives, causing the government great shock and anger. Among these, in the editor's note on November 15th, Marx wrote that in two previous opposing articles, Rhenish jurists had split marriage into religious and secular essences, exposing their dualistic, fragmented worldview. This cleaved the world of law from the world of spirit, thus separating law from spirit and divorcing jurisprudence from philosophy. Meanwhile, Old Prussian jurisprudence opposed not the nature or method of the new divorce bill, but its religious reformist tendency. The old territorial law they guarded was built on intellectual abstraction, but it wasn't rationalism. It was subjective supposition. On December 18th, On the Draft Divorce Law, Marx criticized liberals for pursuing the casual dissolution of marriage. He wrote that friendship is not an object of legislation, but marriage is, just like the status and property of children, cannot be handled arbitrarily. He wrote, no rational person would claim the exclusive privilege of performing an act only they are entitled to do. On the contrary, every rational person regards their actions as lawful, something everyone may do. This statement by Marx is typical content reflecting Kant's moral law and rationalism. He continued, divorce occurs when a marriage has died, no longer conforming to its ethical essence, and therefore must inevitably dissolve. True states, true marriages, true friendships are inseparable, but no state, no marriage, no friendship perfectly aligns with its own concept. Naturally, only when law is the conscious expression of the people's will can it correctly determine whether an ethical relationship no longer conforms to its essence. As both a jurist and philosopher, Marx criticized the legal philosophy underlying the bill. He criticized the reactionary government for arbitrarily twisting the law with religious ideology, criticized the historical school for serving the reactionary government, criticized liberals for fantasizing and acting willfully like legislators, and criticized Old Prussian jurisprudence for rigidly maintaining the old territorial law. He pursued truly rational laws that served the people's interests. Astonishingly, such articles provoked criticism from the Free Group. Using this article as an example, they accused him of betraying liberal principles and giving the Rhine Gazette an opportunistic character. In a November note added to remarks on the mistakes of the Hanoverian liberal opposition concerning the event where the Hanoverian king abolished the moderately liberal 1833 constitution and reinstated the 1819 constitution, Marx pointed out, the true task of liberalism in Hanover is neither to defend the 1833 state basic law, nor to retreat to the 1819 law. It should strive for a new state form corresponding to a deeper, more complete, and freer popular consciousness. The Prussian government sought to exploit the reform of local administrative structures to abolish the legal equality between urban districts and rural townships, implementing Prussian class principles and expanding feudal aristocratic privileges. In articles published the second week of November, district reform and the Cologne Gazette and a correspondent of the Cologne Gazette and the Rhine Gazette. Marx upheld the progressive principle of legal equality for city and countryside, while arguing that the legitimacy of law lies in its consistency with reality. He wrote, "Law can only be the conscious reflection of reality in the realm of ideas, only the theoretical self-expression of actual vitality." The publication of the divorce bill provoked protests from liberal newspapers across the country. The king was forced to retreat, but grew furious with the Rhine Gazette. On November 10th, the governor reported to the Ministry of the Interior and Police that subscriptions to the Rhine Gazette were rapidly increasing, while the paper's tendency was worsening. On November 13th, the king threatened immediate shutdown unless the publisher revealed the name of the person who leaked the bill. The same day, the press censor wrote to Governor von Schaper, "We consider decisive measures necessary because His Majesty the King has repeatedly expressed his disapproval of the newspaper." The king had not banned books or magazines the previous year and had abolished censorship of cartoons in May, and of books over 20 sheets on October 4th. But he lamented that the freedom he had granted had only aided the rapid propagation of theories filled with error and harm, theories attacking the society's most sacred and exalted interests. Liberal newspapers caused the king great discomfort, and on October 14th, he ordered the cabinet and governors to interfere to correct the rumors and poison spread by bad newspapers. On October 15th, the king ordered the dismissal of Witt, chief master at the Königsberg Gymnasium, who served as editor of the Königsberg Gazette. On November 15th, in a satirical commentary in the Rhine Gazette, Marx noted that the authorities, through their active participation, acknowledged the significant importance of the press. In a report to the ministers dated November 17th, Rhenish Governor Schaper stated he was initiating legal proceedings against Marx, author of the articles on the timber theft laws, for his audacious and insulting attacks on the current state system. The same day, Marx submitted a defense drafted by him, but signed by managing editor Rutenberg to the governor. He wrote that the Rhine Gazette consistently upheld Prussian interests, opposed ultramontanism, supported the Prussian-led customs union, championed Prussian leadership in Germany, sought to establish a newspaper through which the king could hear the true voice of the people, and promised to appropriately avoid religious issues. Facing severe political pressure and to ensure the Rhine Gazette's survival, the defense was written with extreme caution and diplomatic language, an approach unique in Marx's entire life. Governor Schaper's response was to immediately dismiss Rutenberg and appoint a more suitable chief editor in his place. The final decision on whether to permit the Rhine Gazette to continue publication was to be observed pending further developments. On November 30th, Marx wrote in a letter to Ruge that Rutenberg had been dismissed from responsibility for the German section, and was only temporarily transferred to the French section due to Marx's plea. This Rutenberg, thanks to His Majesty's extreme foolishness, was fortunate enough to be considered dangerous, even though he posed no threat to anyone except the Rhine Gazette himself. This new martyr Rutenberg used this golden opportunity to announce everywhere that he was the Rhine Gazette's banished principal. Marx's somewhat excessive mockery of his old friend reflected his sharp conflict with the Free Group at the time. Despite adopting cautious tactics, the easing of press censorship was unsustainable. The government had become utterly intolerant of liberalism. In early November, Berlin University lecturer K. Nauwerk was dismissed due to his liberal views. On November 19th, Edgar Bauer's work, Bruno Bauer and His Enemies, was banned. On December 18th, Bull's Patriot, published by the Free Group, as a replacement for their previous Arts and Sciencesemagazine, was also banned. The Rhine Gazette also faced harsher censorship. On November 16th, Governor Schaper wrote to the press censors from Koblenz recently. Dalleschal has repeatedly demonstrated his incompetence to lead a newspaper with harmful tendencies. like the Rhine Gazette's press censor. I therefore feel compelled to urgently request a more capable successor replace him as soon as possible. On December 1st, Daleshall was replaced by Justice candidate Whitehouse due to incompetence.